First of all, I do have sound, so I got it to load into Amiga test kit here, and I was able to do the sound test because I've got my speaker here and the music works, all the channels work, so that was awesome. And then I went back to the main menu and look at what it says for memory. 2 megs total memory detected. Half a meg of chip, no fast, and 1.5 slow. Now, I have an anti-static plastic bag just covering up this so I don't keep having to take the cover on and off while I'm working on it. But all I did since I first started this and it didn't see the memory, all I did was I exercised the dip switch for auto config, I think, the first dip switch, off and on and off and on a few times. But when I booted up, it still wasn't showing any extra memory. So I don't know what I could have done that suddenly made it work. I can't even remember now if my first testing, I don't think I had the Gotek even connected. So having the Gotek connected as drive 1, which made this system with the selector switch in the positions it is in now, I think it didn't have a disk. That shouldn't have done it because I could have sworn when I first tested this, I tested it with the switch in the position where it just normally is using the floppy drive. So I do not understand why all of a sudden it's now showing memory when it wasn't before. So at this point, I mean, I'm not going to do it on camera, but I'm wondering if I should just take that anti-static off and maybe the wire that connects to the top of the insider memory board, maybe that solder joint is loose, even though I tested it with a multimeter for continuity, and maybe this plastic pressing down slightly on that wire has made it connect, and that's why it now sees the memory. Because I literally, it was on my list of things to do to remove the memory board, check the solder on the back of it, see if all the sockets are soldered, and then start removing first all the chips, not including the CPU, because I know the CPU is working, but remove all the chips except for the RAM and put them back in. Maybe use some deoxit on the sockets and see if that corrected the issue, why it wasn't showing memory. But it's showing memory now, and I do not understand why. it's I am baffled. Also, it's slow and not fast. I thought it was supposed to be fast, but again, maybe with the Amiga 1000, this test doesn't show it as fast. I'm not sure. But yeah, if that's gonna stay working, then this is all getting put back together because this is what I wanted. I figured that with the half meg of chip RAM, the 1.5 expansion, I should be able to run everything I used to run back in the day when I had an Amiga 1000, which again, I don't know what, if any, modifications it had in it, but that was pretty much my goal, at least at the beginning, is to mess around with it when it's got enough memory to run games and demos and be an actual usable Amiga, and then later think if I want to spend money on doing something like a Pi Storm or Rejuvenator or some kind of other mod to make it faster and more memory. And the screen just blinked. That's weird. Okay, well, yeah, so as of now, yeah, I'm just kind of scratching my head. I don't know why it now is showing me 2 megs, but I am really happy about that. And I'll continue to look into it. All right, I don't understand it, but I think I've solved the memory issue. We are now looking at the same Amiga test kit, or test disk. And you'll see now that it's showing no fast RAM, no slow RAM. Now, what's the difference? The difference is I am now booting from floppy, and I'm booting from Amiga TwinKick. Right? I saw the Amiga Love video on TwinKick and I thought it was really cool, so I made a disk, and this is what I have been testing with until I got my Gotek. Now, if you don't know what this is, it's a special disk you can make that has 2 different kickstarts on it. So I've got 1.3, so it loads that, and then the floppy stops running, and you eject the disk, and you're using 1.3. It then, if you keep it in, which I haven't done yet, it then loads 3.1 Kickstart. So 2 Kickstarts on 1 disk. Well, apparently, okay, also when I put this in, I get, when the Amiga boots up the test disk there, it says it's a non-standard boot block. So there's something with TwinKick that affects the memory. Now I know that I think in the video you need 2 megs to run the TwinKick. So maybe it's doing some kind of weird memory allocation, even though I'm ejecting the disk after just loading Kickstart 1.3. But this makes perfect sense now. Well, it doesn't make perfect sense to me how it works, but it makes perfect sense that all this time I've been testing with floppies because I didn't have my Gotek, and then the Gotek arrived and I didn't have the cable to connect the Gotek to the Amiga. Now that I've got all that set up, I have a regular Kickstart 1.3 image on the Gotek. And so when testing with the Gotek, I've been using a standard 1.3 Kickstart disk. And when I do that, whether I load Workbench or the Amiga test disk, it shows the proper amount of memory. But when I use the TwinKick on the floppy drive, and then load either Workbench 1.3 or the Amiga test kit disk, they both only show chip RAM. So I don't know what's going on there. That is bizarre, but it means that my memory module there, my DK Insider board, is not faulty. It's just some kind of a weird thing with the way TwinKick works that was making it show 0 RAM. So that means that this Amiga is fine. This means that everything was fine, and now that I've got my Gotek set for drive 0, I can boot off the Gotek with the drive select switch that's mounted back here, and I can use floppies or I can use the Gotek. I have not tried the external A1010 floppy drive that also came with this, but I'm quite hopeful that it's going to work because it's in far better condition than this original floppy was. This original floppy was absolutely filthy and still could be cleaned some more, but it's such a pain in the neck to actually get all the way into the mechanism that I basically cleaned off all the dirt I can get to by just lifting the circuit board up without taking the top of the drive off to get access to more areas to clean. So I have some really long, basically long Q-tips that I've gone in there with alcohol and cleaned all the dirt I can off of everything. And knock on wood, so far the floppy drive has been working fine. So, yeah, at this point, I can put the case back on. Because at this point, I think I have determined that I have a fully functional Amiga 1000 that now has RGB to HDMI mounted internally. Now has the ability to load floppy images on the Gotek. And it has, when booted with a normal Kickstart disk, it has 1.5 megs of additional RAM, along with the 0.5 meg of chip RAM. So that's all I could hope for. I mean, that's more than I could hope for. The condition this thing was in, so freaking filthy. And to have even the keyboard, every single key working, although, like I said, this switch needs to be replaced, and I got some new switches, I'm assuming they're new old stock, they sure look like it, off of eBay. But yeah, pretty much all I have to do now, all I have to do is unsolder the, what is it, like 93 keys or however many switches are on here. So I can sand and paint the metal plate and then decide if I want to take every single one of these switches apart and go over it with contact cleaner or not. Just using this, the test kit to actually test the keyboard. The keys are all registering, but without actually using it and typing, I won't really be able to tell for sure if there's any keys that are a little bit iffy. Oops, sorry. And need to be cleaned. So super happy. At this point, I believe that the mouse is the only actual issue where I had to plug it in to get past that boot block warning from the Amiga test kit disk. There's several different types of tank mouse. This one is not the one that I've seen videos on that have like 4 or 5 resistors in a column. And people, the video out there, they put a potentiometer in place of the last one and adjust it to make the mouse work. Yeah, this doesn't have that setup. It's got a few resistors on the top of the board, and then on the back side, it's got a fair amount of surface mount resistors all over. And so I've decided, instead of messing with that, I've ordered from AliExpress, which I don't normally order from there, but I've ordered the photoreceptors. I ordered from AliExpress because the original ones, I keep forgetting the name, is it Omron company that made the original ones? It seems like those are out of stock everywhere because they've been discontinued. So you can get some on eBay, but they seem to be super high price. And then I found an AliExpress had them, which are obviously going to be clones, but it's like, well, I don't think it's going to make anything worse, so I might as well give them a shot. So I ordered 10 of them, and it's less than $10 shipped. So I'll be waiting for those, and they're right here. behind this piece of plastic. You've got the two emitters that emit the light, and then the photoreceptors behind them that see the light as it shines through the wheel right there. So when you spin the wheel, or when you move the mouse, the ball rubs against that part of the metal, and the shaft makes a wheel with slots in its spin, and the mouse detects the light passing through the open slots in the wheel as you move it to know which direction you're going and how fast you're going. So hopefully that will fix the original mouse. It might not be the problem with the mouse. It might be the emitters, which I don't know if I can see here. I might have to turn out the lights, but they should be shining a purplish light that should be able to see on a phone camera, I would think, but yeah, it might be too light in here. So anyway, yeah, apart from a flaky mouse, and yeah, I haven't obviously touched all the keys in here, that's why they don't all show, but yeah, absolutely overjoyed that this Amiga appears to be completely working. Okay, turned off the lights, and there you can see, hopefully, the two little, like, purple, those are the LEDs, and then you can see the two up on that end too. So those are working, emitting light, and hopefully it's just the photoreceptors, some of them, that have gone bad. And I'll make an update when I get those parts in and swap them out.